All right, then, and welcome back to the Thought That Counts podcast. I just got back from the beach. Beautiful, wonderful beach in North Carolina. No, it's not the Outer Banks. It's not the Outer Banks, you dim-witted fucks. No real people go to the Outer Banks. Okay? I'm not some tourist from Virginia. Okay? I'm not Richmond trash. Okay? I have a life. And I know what beaches are good. It's not Myrtle either. Christ. If you go to Myrtle Beach and you think that's a beach, then I have nothing good to say to you. I have nothing positive to say to you. I don't think anything I have to say to you would propel you through your day with positivity and light. If you go to Myrtle Beach and you think that's fun and you think that's... If you go there for more than 30 minutes at a time, once every 2 years, just to roast the people there, just to make fun of it, just for your own amusement, then we can't be friends. And if any of you listeners out there go to Myrtle Beach on a regular basis because you like it, well, then stop listening to my podcast. For the love of God, just get away from me. I will not associate with you. I will not show you appreciation for your viewership of my content. I will not stand for it. Now, I go to a real beach, not some gimmicky amusement park from the 80s that's just been around too long. That's what Myrtle Beach is. It's been around too long. It's past its heyday. America is very quickly becoming Myrtle Beach. Everywhere. We are very quickly declining. We've reached our peak. And then we have just been going down ever since. Hurricane Katrina was our peak. That was the best thing we've ever done. Destroying New Orleans was the best thing that ever happened to this goddamn country. And now we're just falling apart. So, going to the beach Easter weekend. It was good. It was fun. It was a nice time with the family, with my fiance and my dog and the whole family, So it was great. I'm glad I got to do it. But going to the beach, it wasn't great weather this weekend. So I don't know if you are aware of what the weather was like in North Carolina in mid-April 2022, but it wasn't, fantastic. It wasn't terrible. Could have been worse. But it could have been a hell of a lot better. But usually what we say nowadays, it could have been worse, but it could have been better. Could have been better, could have been worse. Could have been worse, could have been better. That's all we can really say about anything now, because we have become, desensitized to mediocrity. But that's another discussion. I'm talking about weather. So, it was cloudy. It was a little rainy. The forecast at the beginning of Saturday was that it wasn't going to rain. And what did it do? It fucking rained. Because meteorologists are shit. Meteorologists are absolute dog shit. If you're a meteorologist calling North Carolina weather, then fuck you, because you never tell the truth, do you? You claim to know what's going to happen, don't you? And you don't. You don't. It's a scam. I mean, what's going on? We got a bunch of fucking witch doctors sitting in, buildings downtown, acting like they're telling the weather. What are you, a fucking future teller? You're a fortune teller? Like, what's going on here? What are you looking into your little crystal ball and pretending you know what the future holds? Fuck off. I cannot keep up this facade that news people and weather people are not the absolute worst, filthiest scum of the earth. Not a day will go by between now and my death that I do not make that opinion absolutely clear. Fuck them all. Roaches. Dirty rats. So, what was I talking about? The weather? The beach. Yeah, okay. So, we finally get out there on the beach. It's cloudy as hell. Now, I don't know if you've ever been on a beautiful North Carolina beach. And it's not one of those tourist beaches. You know, it's a nice, beautiful beach. If you go to this beach, you're either a local or a regular who visits year after year. You know what I mean? There's no people there taking photos of the local gift shops and shit like that. It's a real beach. So, we get there to the shore. And I don't know if you've ever been to the beach on a cloud. I don't know if you've ever been to a non-touristy beach on a cloudy, stormy day. But it's an interesting scene. We are walking over the dune to get onto the shore. We see some people walking back, walking out of the beach, walking off the beach, opposite direction from where we're going. They're heading back to the public access. You know what I mean? They're getting out of there. And they don't look good. And I'm not talking about, their physical appearance. I'm talking about the expressions on their faces. I mean, sometimes you can just see it in their eyes, what they're feeling. And I'm the same way. I can't hide what I'm feeling. And so these people probably saw on my face just absolute disgust. But they weren't looking their best. And so I was like, ugh, yeesh. What's going on down on the shore today? I guess there's only one way to find out, right? There's only one way to find out. You just keep walking. We keep going. And we get over the dune, down the stairs, and the next person I see is this 60-year-old-ish widow drinking out of a wine glass. She had an actual wine glass. This is a bad sign. When you see 60-year-old women wandering the beach alone on a stormy day, drinking out of a wine glass, it's not good. If that's one of the few people you're seeing as you enter the beach, good luck, because it's not going to get much better from there. She's wandering. She's walking around. She's clearly in some alcohol-fueled daze, and she's mumbling things like, "I used to be somebody. Oh, Richard, where did you go? Why did you abandon me? It's shocking and sad. It. I was unsure whether I should try to comfort her or if I should, just like try to smack her out of it. So I just moved on. I didn't want to get involved. I headed down to the beach and we set up our chairs, right? So we're finally there. We set up our chairs. These lonely people are just wandering around us. It was strange. But, I mean, it was rather macabre. If I have to put a word on it, I'd say macabre. We're there. I don't even put sunscreen on because what's the point? It's cloudy as hell. It was raining like 30 minutes earlier. So this was our one chance. The only people who you see on a beach on a stormy day, they either live at the beach or this is the one chance that they're going to get because they came for this is like the 1 out of 2 maybe times that they're coming to the beach that year. And they're just, hey, well, it ain't raining right now, is it? So we might as well get out there on the shore because we got to make it worth it. We got to make our trip to the beach worth it. So that's who we've got. And I'm included in one of those 2 groups. So keep that in mind. Now, there's seagull. I mean, there's seagulls walking around. They're not flying. They are not flying. They are walking. Herds of seagulls are wandering on the ground. I mean, some of them are fluffy. They look like they just took a bath. Some of them are covered in human vomit. Some of them are bald. Have you ever seen a bald seagull? Like, I don't mean like it's got white on the head. I mean, there's nothing. No feathers. There's no feathers on the seagulls. Of all the animals in the bird kingdom, of all the birds on the planet, I'd have to say the seagull is of the lowest class, which is very, very fitting for the beach because the locals are also of the lowest class of humans. You don't live near a beach. You live on a coastal state. You live in the coastal states, right? You live in New York City or, like maybe the DC area if you're that kind of person. Or, Charlotte. Charlotte's a good place to live. You might live in Atlanta. You might live, there's any number of places that you could live near the East Coast, but you don't live in the barren wastelands 30 minutes away from the shore. You just don't. If you live there, then I'm going to be honest. If you live in one of these places that I drive through every time I go to the beach, God help you. And believe me, I've said my prayers on your behalf. I've run out of prayers to say for you. There is no place on earth probably worse to live than 30 minutes away from the beach. 30 minutes, like anywhere from 10 minutes away, even like 5 minutes away is still too questionable. If you live on the island, you live in a beach house year round, whatever, fine, that's cool. But if you live in one of these trailer park areas 5 minutes away from the shore, then you might as well die. Just walk into the shore. Walk into the ocean and don't look back. Do us a favor and rid yourself. Please. How do you live? How do you live like that? I mean, these people are probably... we're not even talking about farmers. If you're a farmer, that's cool. You do what you got to do. But I'm talking about these people who like generation after generation just live in the same trailer. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? There's nothing there. Yeah. There's one school, one elementary school every 50 miles out there. Because there's no people. There's no cities. There's no towns. There's no localities. There's no government. There's no laws. It's a lawless place. So, I mean, for the love of God, just die already. You're a bunch of vermin living out there. This is no country to be poor. Okay? If you're going to be poor, go to Mexico. You can be poor in Mexico and live just fine. There's no time to be poor in America. There's no time for it. I mean, for God's sake. I mean, you've clearly made a number of choices that have led you the wrong way. You're either born into a wealthy family and you are an opportunist, or you're just not. And there's one third category that we're not going to discuss today. We're going to say that for another episode. But we're talking about these two categories, okay? You're either born into a wealthy family or you're not. And if you're not, there's no hope. There's no hope. You're going to die. So you might as well go ahead and off yourself before you reach age 17 and catch AIDS and your life's ruined, right? And yeah, I know you might, it's treatable now. It's very treatable. Yeah, sure, but if you're living 5 minutes away from the beach, you're not getting the AIDS treatment. You're not getting it. It's not for you, okay? It's for people who live in cities and have a life. If you're one of these country vermin living out there, one of these rodents, one of these marsupial pieces of shit living out there anywhere from 5 seconds to an hour and a half away from the coast, die. Just do it. Just thrust your head into a puddle of mud that is your home and drown in it. We don't need it. We don't need to see that. We don't need to see your filthy yard covered in garbage. No one's coming to your garage sale. You don't even have a garage. No one's coming to your yard sale. No one's buying that car that's been out there with a for sale sign for the past decade. Okay? The price keeps going down, $50 a year. No one's going to buy it because no one trusts you, because you're a poor person in America and you're not to be trusted. Okay? So, if you're not wealthy, just either move into a city and be homeless there, where you kind of have a chance, or, just die. Turn the oven on and sit inside that thing until it's done. I mean, do it while the kids are asleep. Maybe the house will catch on fire and it'll get them too. Do us all a favor, for God's sake. I can't deal with this shit anymore. I can't look at you anymore. Anyway. So the second day we were at the beach, it was really nice and sunny. That was actually earlier today. We went out there and we had some nice tanning time, and we saw all these children playing out there. You'd be astounded how many children we saw. It doesn't help to see all these little kids, when a certain somebody's got baby fever. So, gotta watch where the conversation leads in those situations. I mean, gotta keep it controlled. Keep it under control. You got to know how to keep things under control in your life. It's important to know how to steer the conversation. I mean, hey, so when should we start thinking about kids? Oh, look at that seagull and how disgusting it is. It doesn't have any goddamn feathers. Isn't that funny? You want me to go strangle it for you? Would that make you laugh? If you're a pro like me, you're not going to have any problems. But it can be very easy to get into a tight spot. So, I mean, just keep that in mind going forward. You want to practice these things. Practice in the mirror. Look in the mirror and start talking about something and then instantly change the subject. It gets easier and easier with time. You just got to practice. So, Easter weekend at the beach. It was a pretty good time. You know, you want to avoid running into the locals, especially at the grocery store. That's when it's very often going to happen. Either at the grocery store or on the sand itself. There's no middle ground. Okay? You don't run into them in a coffee shop. You don't you don't see them walking on the sidewalk. They're either in the grocery store or they're on the sand with their filthy unwashed asses and their inbred children. Those are the only two places you're going to see them. Or at their yard sale, which no one will attend. So, watch out for the locals. You know, we were driving out of there. We were driving home. We see this giant mound of dead trees and broken branches. I mean, it was the biggest pile of shit I've ever seen. All like dead, dried up, pieces of wood. And, we were just saying, should we just go ahead and set that shit on fire? I mean, it's real close to the trees. It'll probably start a forest fire, which would be a big improvement for the people living in this area. Go ahead and scatter. Evacuate the area. I mean, burn it down and start anew. You got to get a fresh start every once in a while. Okay? So we pulled over. I pulled out my lighter, dumped a little bit of fluid on that shit, and I lit it up. In fact, I did it with a cigarette. The coolest way you can. So, I mean, they're all fleeing their homes right now. You can look it up on the news. I think at least 10,000 acres at this point, going on 12,000 acres. So, yeah, it's exactly the area we were hoping to destroy, because now they have to leave their homes and they're going to either die, like I hope, or they're going to move into a city and be part of a real community. They're not even part of a town. There's no towns out there. It's just a road. You're either on the side of the highway or you're in a better place. That's what it is out there. There's no neighborhoods. There's no communities. There's no community gardens. There's no libraries. There's nothing. So we did them a good favor, and we set it ablaze so that they can move somewhere else and start anew. Start a new life. That's what you have to do sometimes. And if you have to do it by force at the hand of a stranger, better late than never. Sorry, not sorry. So, yeah. It'd be ideal if they died, but if they move on somewhere else and they become a better person, then you know what? That's good for them too. So, yeah, we'll see where that takes them. I'll probably be heading back there in a few months and just sort of check on things. Finish what I started if I need to. What? Who said that? What? Anyway. But you know what? I think that'll do it for today. I think I've, been very thorough in my recap of our trip this weekend. So it was good and strange, but overall good. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of sorts, and I hope that you have a great time yourself. So check out my YouTube channel, subscribe to my podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, any of that whoozy whatsy. And I hope you've enjoyed this talk. Have a good one, and cheers.